Hello everyone, my name is John. I'm Bayman on some of the reef sites that I'm on. Today I will be starting my first build of an acrylic tank. It's going to be a frag tank that will measure 48 inches long by 24 inches wide by 12 inches high. I've taken a T-square and removed some of the protective paper just off the edges of the two pieces I'm going to be working with right now. It's a good idea to leave the rest of the paper on, give it a little protection so it don't get marred up, and just in case you drop any solvent on here. And the next step I like to do is clean the edges that I'm going to be working with today. This will remove any residue from cutting, any dirt, make it all nice and clean. Get a nice clean weld. These pieces have been pre-cut for me. I've ordered them online. So here we have the pieces all set up, and I just wanted to show you that I'm using these right angles to give me a nice clean square corner there. And I don't know if you can see it, maybe I can zoom in here. I've cut the corners of the yellow angles. Let's see if I can get in there. You can see I just sliced off the corners, and this way when I weld, no solvent will get stuck. When it comes under the joint, it won't get stuck onto the plastic right angle there. I hope you can see it. There it is. Okay, so now we're going to start to weld our first joint. I have the yellow squares in the back taped off. Hold them in place so they don't move, and that's going to give us a nice seam. And I am going to be using weld-on number 4. Gives you a little bit more time to get the joint all set. And with that, I'm using this little squeeze bottle with a very fine needle on it, and this is the applicator. And if you can see down here on the edge, I've left just a slight lip. Okay, that can be taken off later with a router. And the reason for that is it will give me a nice little place to put the applicator, the needle on, and allow the solvent to flow into the joint, into our seam. And the trick here is to, if you just spill this over, the solvent will come out and get all over the place. So from what I've read online and seen and done in videos, is you just squeeze the air out a little bit, and then as you tip it over, you allow the air to come back in, and that will give us just enough solvent coming out. Hopefully you can see the solvent there filling in that seam. And there it is. I have it wedged up a little bit here. A little bit right there. Beautiful. I have a little air bubble right in here. I don't know if I can get this. There it goes. And that's that. Get that bubble out. Alright, looking very good. As you can see, it came out on me. Alright, so that is my first seam. After having finished the one side, looking pretty good, we will continue on to put the other side up. This side is going to be where my overflow box is and the return line. I have it all set up after sanding down the sides and cleaning it up. I have it all set up. Pin method of running the seam, and I will be applying that in a few seconds here. Placed 2 wedges just underneath the bottom piece of acrylic, and now I am going to attempt to place these small pins right like that. Place them right above the wedges here. See if I can get this one in. Okay, now what that's going to do is that's going to give us enough space just checking the edge here to make sure it's nice and even. And that's supposed to give us enough space for the solvent to go underneath the seam and create a very excellent joint. I'm going to push this wedge in just a little bit here. See if I can tighten this up a little bit. Okay, I'm liking it. So now we will get our solvent out and we're ready to run our second seam. Now I'm using black acrylic here. Actually, it's actually clear acrylic that I painted black on the outside. And it's going to be a little hard to see this seam. So, a little squeeze, get the air out, give it tilt, start to let the air in. You can see the bubbles there, and now here we go. Okay. So now I believe all I have to do is take out this pin. Oh boy. That is really crazy because it moves. Okay, and there you can see the glue really shot out of that seam. Whoa. Okay, it's been about 15 minutes now, and as you can see, the seam looks fantastic. It is crystal clear, and from what I've been told and read, that if your seam is nice and clear, then you have a very good seam. I'm trying to get a good shot here so you can see the seam, how clear it is. I'm getting a lot of reflection. Maybe if I go down low, or I shut the light off, and you can just see how nice and clear that seam is. I am very happy, to be quite honest with you. For the first time using that pin method, I am very happy with the way it came out. It all set. Should be ready to apply our solvent. I have a nice even little ledge here. Kind of use this wedge in the corner here just to prop it up, hold everything in place while we get ready here to apply the solvent on the seam. I'm not very good at this, as you can see, and here we go. And that's that. Seconds here before I remove the pins. Okay. And the last time I removed the pins, the whole piece moved on me. And I think I did it too quickly, removing the pins. So now I'm going to give it a few seconds here, kind of let it set a little bit, and then I'm going to take the pins out and see how that works. As soon as the pins come out, the weight of the piece on the side here will drop down. Let's see if this helps here. Oh yeah, that went a lot better. And this one here. Oh yeah. And try. Oops. See what I mean? You gotta apply the same pressure. It's been a total of about 10 minutes now. And as you can see from the shot here, the seam looks pretty good. But the seam is nice and clear. Looking very good. Very, very good. Same setup as before, using the carpenter's angles. And I already ran the seam. As you can see here, I have placed the bottom on the tank and did all the seams with the same method I used for the sides. Except this time, instead of using the straight pins, I used the wire that's inside those little twists you get for garbage bags. I just skinned off the paper and I used those as my pins, and it seemed to work out much better, as they are much thinner than the pins, than the straight pins. To make the holes, the cuts in the overflow, it's just a piece of wood that I traced half of the router circle on and extended it 1.5 inches. So the router, when it's placed inside, travels 1.5 inches, and that's how you get your 1.5 inch cuts on the overflow. You simply place the piece of acrylic underneath, clamp it down, and you mark the acrylic 1/4 inch spaces, and then you line up the router on the lines and just make your cuts. Flow box, I have welded the two pieces together to form the box with the cuts already made. Came out pretty nice, I think. And here you can see it. I've left the protective paper on for now, and it is basically ready to be placed into the frag tank. Okay, here you can see I have finished the overflow, and I'm leak testing it right now. Everything's looking pretty good. I put the Durso standpipe in, keep it nice and quiet. You can see it right here. I have a 1.5 inch bulkhead, and then I also have the return line in too, which is right there. That's a 1 inch return. I left some space here on the inside. Return line, I can always do that. It's filling up, and I noticed, I don't know if you guys can see that, but I have a little leak right in that corner. Yep, there is a leak. So I'll take care of that. It's no big deal, it's into the overflow. But other than that, it's looking pretty good. I've already had it filled once before, so I know all the seams on the tank are good. I'm just filling it now to check the overflow, and she's looking good. I'm liking it a lot. I'm so glad I did it myself. It was half the price, and I got some experience with acrylic. Just a quick note here that I found, if I used these wire garbage ties, and just skinned off the paper off the ends, that they're a lot thinner, and they definitely worked a lot better than the straight pins, which were much too fat. With these wire ties, able to get a tighter fit, and they worked great. I'm very happy with the way it came out. Saved a lot of money, probably at least half the price. The overflow box, you can see. The return line. And that's the brace around the top. And that's it, complete.